Topical One Punch Man video. Yep, it's finally time for us to actually talk about something that we can all collectively speculate on regarding this manga, because what happened in chapter 116 is all new stuff. This has only happened in the manga, meaning that it hasn't happened in the webcomic. So now we can all come together as one fandom and all collectively speculate, like a normal series does, like a series that doesn't have a webcomic preceding it to where we already know all the big major storylines and beats and plot points that are going to happen for years now. So I'm mainly just going to be talking about what's going to happen with Nyan, likely what's going to happen with his whole storyline, because that's what it seems to be coming to an end here. Also, given that he said that he has left the Monster Association, so it's probably coming to an end now. And I'm just going to be talking about the list of candidates who are likely to come, essentially save the day here, because all hope seems to be lost. Because we also saw that he just took out all of the support team. They are all done, more or less. And the only two people left are Sekengar and Food Battler. And they're the only hope left for Waganma. So unless Sekengar and Food Battler are secretly blast, things aren't looking too good for them right now. So first, let's go over the roster of everyone that we have down here and why it's likely that they're not going to come save the day. And then we'll go into some wild card picks, some picks that the fandom believe is going to show up. And then I'll go into who the two likely candidates are, and I'll go into detail about why it makes sense, of course. So first, we got Atomic Samurai, and he's currently fighting Black S still. That hasn't been resolved yet, so he's likely not going to come and fight Nyan. Same thing with My Mask. He's fighting Fura Ugly, and we saw how that went. Still has yet to be resolved. Zombie Man, just as likely to show up because he is currently taking on Homeless Emperor. Pig God, also tied up with an executive in Gum, so he's not likely to help either. And then we've got Tattoomachi, and she's still, for some reason, going against Giro Giro, and we haven't touched on that storyline for a while now, but of course there is a reason for that. Puri Puri Prisoner, he just got whooped on by Garo. He's down for the count most likely, so he's not going to be saving anyone. And Garo, now that we're on him, and he is actually back in the story now, and he is another player, he's probably not going to come to save the day either, because he's down there still, and it doesn't seem like he's going to go to the surface anytime soon, because we could just assume that he's likely going to still look for Tario. That's his whole motivation for originally coming to the Monster Association. So unless he feels that Tario's on the surface for some reason, I don't think he's going to go up there. And then we got Flashy Flash, who is with Saitama, so we can cross them both off, because we just saw in chapter 116 that they're lost. They're just aimlessly going around the Monster Association. So it doesn't seem likely that they're going to be going to the surface to save the day anytime soon. Then we got Child Emperor, and we know that he was on the surface recently, but he just went back into the Monster Association to further assist the strike team. And I think they showed us that specifically just so we can cross him off the list. We know that he's likely not going to come back out to the surface, given that he just went back in. And then we've got Atomic Samurai's disciples, and we saw that they are currently fighting the evil natural water, so their hands are tied. They're not going to be coming to help anyone else out. They actually need help themselves. So just from the strike team, the only one we have left is Darkshine. He's unaccounted for at this point, and we don't know what he's currently doing. And some people do think that he likely could come to the surface and save the day, take out Nyan, which he very likely could, in my opinion. But we also know that Darkshine is still on his mission, and there's no real reason for him to come to the surface aside from just some Deus Ex Machina type stuff, which I don't think is going to happen. And as far as I know, in chapter 116, there was no kind of distress signal sent out anywhere, so everyone is kind of unaware of what's going on the surface right now. They're kind of just helpless at this point. So I don't think Darkshine is going to come. He's kind of just go further into the Monster Association and try to finish the job that they all started. So now let's go into the wild card picks. These are some names that have been thrown around by the fandom recently. And first we'll go with Metal Bat. So yeah, people think that Metal Bat could possibly show up here to save the day. And this would be awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't think this is likely. Metal Bat, as far as we know, is still recovering in the hospital. He was still super bandaged up. He had a neck brace and everything. And as far as I know, Metal Bat isn't really aware of what the strike team is doing. Only they were kind of privy to that information. Also, it's only been maybe 2 days, maybe a little more than that, since he ran the gauntlet against the demons, Elder Centipede, and Garo. So he hasn't really recovered yet, or nearly enough to be able to take on a dragon. And also, Metal Bat is MIA this entire arc in the webcomic, so I don't think that he's going to come back. But like I said, there is a chance. It just doesn't seem very likely. So the other wild card pick is Watchdog Man, and this would be awesome too. But just like Metal Bat, he is MIA in this arc in the webcomic as well, so that just seems like it's very unlikely that he would show up. Although it is still possible, I won't deny that, but also we have to remember that Watchdog Man has the whole Q City dynamic with him, and for him to leave Q City to just randomly go help out the Hero Association with this just doesn't seem likely. I mean, he's only really left Q City like a handful of times. I think only really like once in the actual story, and that was for the Hero meeting, the S-Class meeting that they had in Season 1. And then other than that, he's kind of left like in audiobooks and in OVAs. But like, it just doesn't seem likely, because even when Boros invaded, like, he just immediately peaced out and went to Q City. He didn't even help them out with that. So it just doesn't seem likely that he would show up now. But we can't ignore that there is the whole cat and dog dynamic. You know, Nyan's the cat, Watchdog Man is the dog, and that would be cool, but I just don't see it happening. So now let's go into the two prime candidates, and I think that both of these guys are about 60-40% chance of showing up. So we'll go into who I feel has a 60% chance of showing up, and that is Genos. Yeah, we can't forget about Genos. He is a player in this arc, despite him not really being around for a while now. I mean, in the last 20 or so chapters, he's only shown up like twice, unfortunately. So let me also point out that Genos, in the webcomic at this point, is currently with Bang, Bomb, and Fubuki in the Monster Association. But that has all changed in the manga, because in chapter 93, when they all met up, Genos decided to stay behind because he wanted to wait for Saitama and go with whatever that Saitama was ultimately going to decide. But they weren't aware that Saitama had went down into the Monster Association by himself to check on the noise complaint caused by Overgrown Rover fighting Garo. Like, Saitama didn't let anybody know that he was doing that, so of course they don't know, and Genos foolishly has decided to stay behind. And this was really odd to me, because it was like, well, if Genos is going to stay behind, then what's he going to do? What's his ultimate purpose if he's not going to be with Bang, Bomb, and Genos in the Monster Association? And this could be it. The whole purpose could be that he is going to fight Nyan, meaning that he might finally get that big win that has kind of eluded him this whole entire series so far. Because, yeah, he's got some nice wins here and there. He's taken out some demons and whatnot, but whenever that big battle came around, he usually wound up jobbing or just ultimately losing in embarrassing fashion, more or less. So this could be his big dragon win. And not just a dragon, but a cadre at that. Let me also point it out that this whole new form that Genos has, the form that I call Daedric Genos, you know, because it kind of looks like the Daedric armor from Skyrim, he doesn't have this in the webcomic either. This is all new stuff. So Genos also says that he's more powerful than ever in this form. But Dr. Kuseno also says that the upgrade is like way too reckless, and that he drove up the mechanical power as much as the armoring would allow. And there's no balancing. It's just all offense, which is very interesting. And that, like, if Genos decides to go all out, that he'll exceed the operational conditionings of the new upgrades. And that he'll only be able to last for about 10 seconds. And if he goes any more than that, the energy core will explode and he'll just straight up die, like, regardless of if he's a cyborg or not. So this could mean that Genos is now strong enough to take out a dragon, such as Nyan, possibly. Now, it remains to be seen if he's going to use the whole 10-second time limit, full power thing on Nyan, which means that he would likely take out himself in the process. Of course not die, because I really doubt that Genos is going to die at this point in the series, or if he's going to use it later on, but still, this is showing us that there is a chance that he could take down somebody like Nyan. Also, there's a very good chance that Genos could show up at this point, because the last time that we saw him was chapter 106. So after Saitama had punched Rover, and the whole big shockwave happened, we had a reaction shot from almost all of the characters, and one of them was Genos, who was in the apartment, like, cleaning dishes comically. And he says, "Just now, could that have been?" Which is referencing him thinking that that could have been Saitama's power that he felt. So now we could just randomly see Genos show up at the Monster Association, the surface of it, just in time for him to encounter Nyan, who's about to take out Waganma, and he could be like, "I decided to come here because I thought I felt Master's power, but it looks like I showed up just in time." And then we have this epic battle between him and Nyan, and then, like I said, that would give Genos his due diligence. So, aside from Genos, let's go into the 40% chance that I feel is going to happen, and that is Drive Knight showing up to save the day. So I made a whole video on why I think Drive Knight is going to show up at this point, and why I believe that he is secretly G5, the samurai robot that we've seen in the Monster Association thus far. So if you would like an in-depth explanation on that, please go check out that video. It'll give you all of the information that you need. But more or less, I feel that Drive Knight is going to show up at this point just coincidentally at the same time Nyan is going to take out Waganma, because after Atomic Samurai had defeated G5, he couldn't cut the inner core of him. And after the smoke had cleared, after he shot that beam back at Atomic Samurai, the smoke cleared, and then we saw that he wasn't there anymore, and Atomic Samurai says it seems that he must have escaped. So I assume that the core of Drive Knight successfully got to the surface of the Monster Association and probably reunited with that black box that we see that Drive Knight carries around sometimes. And this allows him to go back into his Drive Knight form, and this is where he steps in to save Waganma against Nyan, because it is still kind of lining up with Drive Knight's motivations. Like, he's not entirely evil, or maybe not even evil at all, because we saw that in this theory, him being G5 saved Narinki's private squad from getting killed by the Monster Association. He also inadvertently saved Tario from the Great Food Tub, so he is kind of altruistic. And also, let me mention that Drive Knight himself is not in this arc in the webcomic either. He's really hardly ever in the webcomic, so this could be giving more substance to his character, as well as giving him a big fight finally, because we've hardly ever seen Drive Knight do anything. Like, before this, he only really took out those fodder monsters who he was interrogating in Chapter 66, so this could be his big moment, as well as him to get some kind of redemption as well if he is saving Waganma. So, in theory, he could be taking out Nyan here, and then he himself escorts Waganma back to the Hero Association, so that wraps up that whole storyline. So he's out of the picture, Waganma's out of the picture, and then the war can just go on how it originally was. Also, like I said before, Sekengar is there, and Sekengar is one of the main people involved in this whole Drive Knight storyline, because he, on multiple occasions, has talked about Drive Knight being missing. And also, it's kind of implied that Drive Knight personally talked to Sekengar, relaying the information to the Hero Association about the location of the Monster Association. So Sekengar being there, he'd be like, "Oh, Drive Knight, hey, I thought you were gone. I thought you'd died," because he also thought that. And then I guess Drive Knight just, BS's to him, just lies to him about everything, just makes up some excuse, and then they're all hunky-dory again. So yeah, that's pretty much it for all of the possible outcomes that I see happening here. And then, of course, there's the one chance that Genos and Drive Knight team up to take on Nyan, and that would be incredible. But it just doesn't seem likely at this point, although it could happen. But let me know what you think is going to happen in the comments. So many possibilities, and I just really like that we can all come together and speculate, as a community about this. So if you liked the video, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.